on record now with you all. If anyone wants a recording, you can talk to any of the counselors and get the information here. And I'll also be happy to introduce you to people who will be coordinating this event. We have Mr. Horace Fredericks, we have Rushdia and many others who are actually helping us with this. So I'm going to share my screen at the moment, and I hope you can see my screen now. I want you to get familiarized with a very informative website with IMC. In IMC, you can come into all our universities here. What are the medical type programs we have and everything, you can find it here, right? So there is a chat option if you actually want to talk to anyone, and if you want to go to the AIC campuses, AIC campuses website, you can go into AIC and you will find the similar details there. So what type of school do you want to actually study into? The types of school are basically there here. What type of university you would like to enroll with, and if you want to study directly abroad, what would you like to do you want anyone to talk to you or call you or things like that? So this is about the psychology program which I am at the moment going to show you. Psychology is a very important thing, and that is what we are basically going to discuss today. Let me just spotlight my screen. Okay, right, done. This is about the psychology options of whatever you have. Okay, Bachelor of Psychology, and you can ask me anything because I'm one of your tutors for this particular program. So you can ask me any questions with regarding to this particular program, and let's look at the fun aspect of this. So we have a bachelor's of psychology honors, bachelor's of psychology honors top up. So you know the top up is for the final year, and we have a bachelor of early childhood education, and the honors top up education part of it as well, right? So each of these program you can go to read more and go through the course content, right? I'm not going to go through all of this. This is what basically I do with you. What is the duration? Who is the awarding body? Is the awarding body UGC approved? Yes, it is UGC approved. Okay, it's UGC approved. So is the awarding body UGC approved? What is the program objective? What is the overview of the program? What type of subjects do we cover for psychology, right? These are all your first year subjects. These are all your second year subjects. These are all third year subjects. And what are the pathways? Now that is where this discussion is going to go. Why do you want to learn something and not make use of it? Why do you want to learn something and not make use of it? So how do you make use of what you learned? Okay, that's the most important thing. How do you make use of what you basically have learned out there? So these are the careers and the recognition with regarding to this particular program. So as you can see, I am going back. While I welcome all the new students who have so far joined, I'm just going to show you how does the early childhood education program goes to. So the programs are kind of two different. If you are a person who is teaching for little kids and you're aspiring to have a career with little kids, you're teaching little kids, you're having an aspiring career to be with little kids for a long-term goal in your life. You like to run a school, you like to run a Montessori, you like to have some centers in your house, you want to do something like this, I would recommend you to do early childhood education. These are the course contents for early childhood education. You can ask me anything you want. I myself am going to be a facilitator for this particular program, right? Okay, the recognition, all the details are there, and other connecting courses are also there. Now I'm going back. So this website basically contains all of it. I'm going to close off from here, and we are going to start business immediately with regarding to why we are here. So today is going to be a very fruitful session for the next 1 hour plus. Be ready to take down notes. If you think you have to take down notes, if you want to write down anything, just write it down. Don't worry, this particular area is going to be saved, and we are going to basically have a very fun oriented session here. Give me a minute. So before I share my slides, I would like to invite the main head of marketing, who is actually corresponding and coordinating all the activities, who is overlooking at all the activities in this program. He's a person with vast experience. I would like Mr. Horace Fredericks to come online and probably talk for a few minutes with our students until I share my slides. Okay, Horace, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, students. Good to see you all. Good to see you now. And we will be taking you through maybe one of our session with the and after the program, hi, students. Good morning to you. It's a pleasure seeing you. This is Good Psychology. Inti and Dr. Burhan will be taking you for the next 1.5 hours on a very useful session. I guess after the session, we'll be contacting you. Banu is a coordinator. She'll be contacting you. And the most important thing is, I hope you get something fruitful from this. And thereafter, if you're interested in writing a bachelor's program, you can always contact Banu and get further details, and we'll take it from there. So I wish you all the best, and you'll have a great time in the next 1.5 years, 1.5 hours. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Horace Fredericks, who actually shared a few words of the program. Let me know if everyone can see my screen as at now. Okay. If you can see my screen, just let me know. I'm going to spotlight, right? Okay, right. So let's kick this off. I want this to be quite interactive and not boring. So I want people to actually have a chat with me and have a conversation with me, right? Here and there, if I just get a bit slow, I'm just adding people to the group. That's all, and we're going to get back into business. So this has been recorded. If you want to get more information, you can follow us on AIC campus on YouTube. You can get this particular session. So welcome to the wonderful world of psychology. I'm going to show you what I do in my class and how I motivate people and how I can basically stretch their mind, stretch their thinking pattern after they work with me in these qualifications, right? So to say about me, this is myself. My name is Inthikab. I have about 18 years of experience in tutoring, lecturing, coaching, and I'm going to be a facilitator until the third year, looking at how you guys graduate successfully. I'm at the moment a final year PhD student for a Singaporean university, right? That's just only 20 seconds about me. Mostly it's going to be about you. Mostly it's going to be about you guys who are getting ready for the 21st century. Skills what you need for 2030. Skills what you need for 2030. If any one of you does not have these skills, and if someone has these skills, they are going to outsmart you. Please drop in any of your comments in the chat box, okay, if you want to. One is critical thinking. Critical thinking is, I teach students critical thinking through various models, through various approaches on how to make decisions according to the circumstances of which things are happening. Now, let's say a situation like COVID-19. Critically, people who were able to transform and take the risk to go online and teach online, or sell online, or start something on e-commerce, they worked pretty fast than those who were sitting on their chairs thinking, should we do this or will the lockdown end fast? Should we do this or will the lockdown end fast? Critical thinking is super important. Next is creativity. There is no course in the world which will teach you creativity. There is no course in the world which will teach you creativity. It's about how much exposure do you get in creativity, and that's what I'm going to do with you today by trying to teach you 1% of thinking out of the box. Okay, collaboration, working with others. Okay, We can't work alone in the future. That's the exact problem when intellects meet. Many intellects can't work with others. When you're a teacher in a school, you will have a problem with another teacher, or another teacher has a problem with you. All of you guys have a problem with the sectional head. Am I not right? Okay. You and the sectional head has a problem with the principal. Now, this is not the way forward. The organization of where you work to goes in either directions. So it's important that you collaborate and work. I also have a separate course on communications with me. I teach it as a workshop, how to develop your communication, information literacy, and the IT part of it with technology literacy. You won't believe, maybe you guys have been even doing a Google search wrong. I will teach you how to do a Google search really better by talking about binary codes. Okay, binary codes, and teaching you how to enhance Google search. That's where I basically start with. Those are some things which a lot of people actually don't do or don't know. I don't know how many of you all in the class here sitting with me knows about something called Boolean search. Boolean search is where you use proper codes to enhance your Google search. Now, these type of things I start with. I do some, games and things like that, right? Media literacy, okay, how to go through various medias. Communication was repeated, independent networking, and in communications, the most important, storytelling. If you're a teacher or if you're someone who is dealing with psychology and you are a bad storyteller, there is someone else who can take up to your job if that person is a good storyteller. So keep that in mind. Okay, right. Everyone, quickly send me a text message. What do you see? I'm going to remove this picture in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, come to the chat box and talk to me and say, what do you see? Anyone? Okay, here we go. So Ruktaba saw an eagle. Shiny saw a bird. Someone has seen a bunny. Interesting. A bird is aiming at something. A bird indicating only the head, thinking. Looks like a kingfisher. A bird focusing on something. Awesome. Rukshana, a bird. I'm going to give you a different perspective. Head of a bird. Okay, again, I'm going to show you the picture. Many have seen a bird. I think almost everyone has seen a bird. Almost everyone has seen a bird. Here is the picture. Okay, here is the picture. Everyone has seen a bird. Anything other than a bird? This is how we develop. This is how we develop. That's an exercise. And Anoli sees a goat here. Right, very good. Now, someone sees a cat. I have to give you an award. There is no cat here, but okay, Shafra, what do you see? A rabbit. Okay, someone sees a cat here. So there is a cat, there is a bird, and there is a goat. Actually, the answer is that there are two things which you would see here. Okay, did you see a goat looking at you, or the bird looking away? This is the answer, right? Now, what do we learn is, whenever you give these exercises for students, always show that, please always teach the concept that 3 into 3 can be 9 and 8 1 plus can be 9. No one can say that, no, only my view is correct because I'm thinking from my box that 3 into 3 is 9 and that's the only correct view. No, it's not like that. We are intellects developing our mind to look at things at not 10 different ways, but 150 different ways. That's where we get to reconcile, connect things, connect points, and enhance our learning better. Okay, there is many ways to define an iPhone. There is many ways to define a weak child. There is many ways to motivate and encourage a weak child. There is many ways to teach something to a student. You can teach by video, you can teach by showing him, you can teach by action, you can teach by writing in the board, but everyone's learning pattern is different. That's what I'm trying to show you here. That's what I want to tell you here. You would have heard this famous statement that don't judge a fish. Don't give an exam to a fish by asking the fish to climb a tree. Don't give that. Don't give a test for the elephant to climb a tree. But if you give that in the animal kingdom, maybe the monkey might come first. But that does not mean that the fish is weak. You think out of the box to identify this, and those teachers who are joining this course with me knows how much I have stretched their mind to actually show that there is possibility in doing this. Okay, right. Another icebreaker, if I ask a question, some might know the answer for this. If a plane crashes on the border between US and Canada, where would the survivors be buried? Type the answer, hurry up. If a plane crashes on the border between US and Canada, where would the survivors be buried? Graveyard. Which country's graveyard? Asia? Okay. Why should we bury survivors? They are cremated. Okay. You can't bury a survivor. We cannot bury survivors. Exactly. You can't bury a survivor. Okay. Okay. Here you go. Imagine you are. Okay. Question number 2. Imagine that you are driving a bus. You drive to bus stop T, where 4 people get on. You then arrive at bus stop O, where 2 people get off. Finally, you reach the bus stop M, where everyone gets off. Question is, what is the name of the bus driver? I'm not going behind. What's the name of the bus driver? What's the name of the bus driver? There you go. So those who are paying attention will understand the hitch in the answer, and others are getting a bit late. Remember, I said, imagine you are the person who is driving the bus. So you are the bus driver. Okay. Please enhance your thinking with this. Right. Very good. Let's go on. Okay. Third and final question. A doctor and a boy were fishing. The boy was the doctor's son, but the doctor was not the boy's father. Who was the doctor? Please answer me. Please answer. Okay, no one has taken an attempt here so far. Okay. Smarty Pants, Ruzna and Akifa, your answer is correct. The answer is the mother. A doctor and a boy were fishing. The boy was the doctor's son, but the doctor was not the boy's father. Who was the doctor? Obviously the mother. Obviously the mother. What do I teach by this is, whenever we tell people doctor, what do people think of? A male doctor or a female doctor? They think of a male doctor. What is this kind of thing called? Please ignore my ugly handwriting, guys. I'm using the mouse. This is called stereotyping and generalizing. And how do you actually do that? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. When we talk about a doctor, we don't basically think of the females. So when it's a doctor, it has to be a male. When you talk of an engineer, do you think of a male engineer or a female engineer? Of course, male engineer. When you talk about a secretary, who comes into your mind? Females only can be secretaries, not males. So these are kind of ways of how you can actually stereotype, and how stereotype sometimes actually screws things up. And you got to understand how not to stereotype beyond a point is what I actually would teach you, right? Now, this is a particular Instagram post I did for a psychology program. And this was an interesting outcome. Okay. I said that one person texted me, "You're cute." I said, "No, you are cute." I actually did was I wanted to point out the grammar mistake, drop a message for IELTS classes. Now, what this resulted in was a comment saying, a person who was correcting my spelling mistake over here, saying that there is a mistake here. I think you can see this here. I'm going to highlight it. You can see grammar mistake. The spelling is grammar. Then I replied for it that purposely I did this. Correct. If you can find the mistake, you surely can score 6.5 bandwidth now, so that so start the course ASAP. There you go. You have to give a reason and get people involved in your communication messages. Do this in your classroom and be creative of how you would want to do. You could go through some YouTube videos if you want to get more ideas. Okay, right. I'm going to give you another question. Can you look at this slide and tell me what is this college trying to tell you? It's a creativity school in Sri Lanka. What are these guys trying to tell you? Can you let me know by checking this out? Make a Sinhalin ගහලා තිනවා ගසක් සිටුවීමෙන් වලකිමු. ගසක් සිටුවීමෙන් වලකිමු they have put. Then in Tamil there is maram something something. Why on environmental day when everything is growing, one crazy guy is telling stop planting a tree? What is the meaning of, please me, reverse psychology? It's a reverse statement. You're correct. What's the reverse statement? I think you understand. The reverse statement is to go opposite. To go opposite. That means don't plant a tree, plant many trees. Exactly, Dr. Rajapaksha. If someone is asked, that's exactly it. Okay, if someone asks don't do it, they will do the opposite, right? I am agreeing totally with Dr. Rajapaksha. Now if there is a student who is very weak, you can always tell him, okay, please don't study because you are always weak, please don't study. When you give him a thought like that, that guy wants to study to prove you're wrong. That's the thing. Then you want the student to win, no? You want something good for the student. So you have to make the student do the reverse psychology part with you. You give a challenge to the student and say that I don't think this is for you. I don't think this you can do this. Give a good homework, an assignment, say I think you can't do this because I think you don't understand this stuff. So you don't do the homework and come. You know what? That person, to impress you, that person will do the homework and be the first to come and show you. Whenever you can, try to use reverse psychology to handle and manipulate the situation. Now this particular person used this, and there were a lot of shares on Facebook and Instagram. People were scolding them until they got the real message, and by the time they got the real message, they got a huge publicity out of this. Okay, right. This is a of using reverse psychology on Wednesday. I always involved with their cooking. So there was one particular person who said, happy Women's Day. Don't let anyone treat you like boiled rice because you are special as Ahar Biryani. This is a restaurant called Ahar Biryani. Don't let anyone treat you like boiled rice. Now, when you look at this message, you actually want to order food because you want to relax. That's basically it. Okay. So this is a guy who actually put an advertisement saying, please help lost dog, and a very innocent looking picture of a dog. He goes by this name written in Arabic. If you can't read his name because it's in Arabic, contact me to learn Arabic. Grammar and conversation phone number. I mean, don't say, study is spoken English. No, study French, study Korean. No. And in future, we will have study Chinese or Mandarin. Don't be very straightforward. Give them an indirect impact to think. There should be a different person when the person studies our course. An intellect has to be totally different. I want you to be different even the way you want to communicate with people. That's what I want to say. Can everyone look at this picture and tell me what does this mean? Happened here and what does this mean? Can anyone tell me what does this mean? Okay. Do you know that the Miss Universe or the Miss World crown was handed over to a wrong person? Persuasion, no. The Miss Universe or the Miss World crown was handed over to the wrong person for 8 or 10 seconds and it was changed. No, not that, Ruzna. The Miss Universe or the Miss World pageant, the crown was handed over to the wrong person, and that was basically changed. Burger King in 1 hour tweeted, at Burger King everyone gets to keep their crown. The crown won't get to be changed. Can you see how attentive the messages should be? That sharp you have to be. That sharp. Okay, that sharp really you have to be. This is the person who actually did that. More than bad leadership, Zanisha, it's like not proactive and not being ready for sudden challenges. That is how I would actually take it. Okay. Now, when Harry and Meghan actually wanted to stop being in the royal palace, Burger King said, "You can still eat like a king with us, Harry. Come to Burger King, you can still eat like a king." Can you see that these messages are very, very proactive? It's reaching our thoughts very, very hard. Okay. A good way of marketing, exactly. I'll give you another example. The no nonsense coffee guide. See how we can play with words. When you are an early childhood educator, or you're a psychologist, or you want to talk to the mind, please look at pictures, words, actions, all this. Now, there was a guy who is running a coffee place, said Americano, and he slashed Americano. Now covering Americano is not the thing. You have to slash it in a way that people can see, Americano kiyanne black coffee. So there is a simple word for black coffee. Okay. Flat white means white coffee, right? Cappuccino means frothy coffee. Latte means milky coffee. Espresso means strong but small coffee. And tea means not coffee. Okay. Hot chocolate means also not coffee. Now, can you see that the words can mean quite a lot? Words can mean quite a lot. What you tell to your students, how do you deal with difficult parents and all, can actually mean a particular thing. Okay, that is one thing I would do. This is self-explanatory. Can you read this silently? Okay, what the author said and what your English teacher thinks the author meant. What the author said, what the English teacher meant by the author. For an instance, the curtain was blue. Your teacher thinks the curtain represents his immense depression and his lack of will to carry on. But what has the author meant is totally something else. There is some obscene language in this. Apart from that, just get the idea. I think you know what I'm trying to mean here, right? I want you to think beyond that. I want you to think beyond that. Okay. This is a person actually who started to sell something on the road. And the person is actually in this slide somewhere here. He wanted to sell this step by step, and he put boards here so people will read. If people don't read, they will actually pass this and go. But they stop here, they read this, they go to the next board, and when it comes into that last board, they actually meet the seller. Can you see that this seller is practicing a different type of psychology? He's practicing actually a different type of psychology. Okay. You see market. Okay. Psychology parts which you see in supermarkets. You always should know that most essential products are sacked somewhere here. That is like sugar, rice. Most important things are towards end. Why is it that when you enter a supermarket, they give you kind of like a trolley like this? So psychologically, you will buy more. Why do you think the most colorful things are advertised or shown in the beginning? Fruits. Always you see that every supermarket shows the fruits in the right hand side or the left hand side, not in the middle, at the back, because the color orange, the orange of the orange, and the red of the apple, the green of the apple, it strikes our eyes very fast, and our mind stimulates it. The stimulation happens. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's like when you used to touch a razor, the razor which is, I mean, an eraser, which looks like an orange, you kind of feel it, you will get the orange smell. It's a stimulus, you will just get it, you feel it. When you feel it, you are impulsively you are trying to buy something which you don't want. Thank you very much, Dirani, for that point. You will also note that chocolates are at eye levels at two places. One is the chocolates are at the eye levels at the what you call this, the place where you put. Second is at the cashier. Why? The cashier people will stay for about 2-3 minutes, and you can kind of convince the child. Your marketing psychology for the child now, while you're in the queue, can you please put a chocolate here? Now, when the chocolate is being put inside the cart, the mother or the father won't be rude to the child saying, no, we are not going to buy you chocolates because you're naughty. Why? All the other kids are there and all the other parents are there. You will be very embarrassed. So you're not going to do that. But if the child tries to have a chocolate here, you can scold the child because no one is here. You can do that. So supermarket has a major psychology thing which actually happens. Go on YouTube and see. You will see much more learning which you will see in supermarkets. Sometimes psychology, you can drive people nuts. In psychology, you can drive people nuts. Okay. This painting was sold for $43 million. Why? God knows why. What do you see in this painting? Maybe nothing. Okay. Right. So this is how this exception of perception is defined. Can you see this sauce bottle? Always this sauce gives this red feeling because chili is red. Red is hot. Therefore, you get that hot feeling. Usually, when you see yellow in color, you get a lot of hunger. These are stimulus. Please know your stimulus for your customer. When I use the word customer, my dear friends, my dear teachers, my dear students, I don't mean a customer only who comes to the bank. I mean a customer at your school. Who is the customer at your school? Your students and your parents. When they come, you have to stimulate their mind. You have to talk to their psychology. That's the difference of a person who has learned psychology versus a person who doesn't know psychology. You have to use these kind of practical experiences. Now I'm going to show you how do these companies price their products. They give you a small popcorn and they say that this is $5. Most people would choose the small popcorn because it is too expensive, meaning the large one is too expensive. Now the marketing trick is, when there is a $5 popcorn at a very small rate and a $9 popcorn at a very bigger rate, you know that people will go to this. But now see how I change your mind. Now give small, medium, and large. Now price them like this. Okay. Now no one will buy the small, many will buy the large. Do you understand? You reach to the psychology and the psychic part of the people. That's how basically you do. So in my coursework, I teach a lot about communication. I teach a lot about vocal stuff. I teach a lot about non-vocal stuff. I talk about public speaking, speaking to the heart, speaking to the mind, speaking to the soul. How do you become a good storyteller? How can you tell a story in an unforgetful manner for your students so that you also try this with your students? That's what basically we teach. So these are some things which I do in written communication, as you can see in the screen. Okay, these are something which I teach in the communication model, which you would have learned somewhere. How do you communicate better? How do you stop miscommunication? Things like that. And how do you look at things better? How do you look at things better? As I said earlier, uh, you know, as I said earlier, it's all about how you want to see. It's all about how you want to see. This person saying this 4 and this person saying this 3 is all the same. How do you basically want to see is the major thing. Okay, right. Even when it comes into a matter of argument, whether the number is 6 or 9, use your head, use your mind, use your thought, use your intellect to sort it out. Okay, use your intellect to sort it out. So everything depends on a perceptual mind. Everything depends on a perceptual mind. Okay, everything depends on how you want to see it, the angle you want to see it, right? Coming back to our lessons, I teach to you guys about communication and effective communication barriers. Okay, emotional barriers, cultural barriers, language barriers. We don't understand people because of their cultural, language, emotional background, right? We use examples and we teach all this. I teach more about communication. This is my biggest strength. I would like you guys to self-read this slide. Most of my misunderstandings are because of my tone of voice. People think I'm angry even if I'm just explaining my point. That's a big problem to many people. That's a big, major problem to many people, I'm telling you, right? Tone of voice is key. Okay. I teach you, how to have nonverbal signals, how to have a power pose like this, or like this, or like this. These power poses are super important. These power poses are super important. Okay, you can show you a power non-verbally. You don't have to hammer someone. You can we learned this actually from the animal kingdom, and it's growing really well. Okay, this is from Singham, one of my favorite movies. It's non-verbal signals. Non-verbal signals are like very important. Okay, uh, when we want to show anything, when we want to tell anything, things like that. Okay. Okay, so this is how do you take pressure and things like that. Wait till my slide moves. Okay, right. This is some humor with having eye contact. How do you have eye contact? uh, this is communication gone awful. Have you ever been in an accident that resulted in your death? Okay, this was in a real Australian visa site. Okay, now I also teach a little bit of how do you use communication better. Who said English is easy? Fill in the blanks. Can you silently read this with placing yes or no? Can you see? It's almost the same. Yes, I don't have a brain. No, I don't have a brain. Yes, I don't have sense. No, I don't have sense. Yes, I'm stupid. No, I'm stupid. Right? This is why I say that grammar is important. Okay, punctuations are important for students. Like, you know what I mean, right? Right. I teach this sentence, and this is part of my slide in my teaching area to show how words can change. She told him that she loved him. Try inserting only into the different places in this sentence and see how the meaning changes. That is, only she told him that she loved him. She only told him that she loved him. She told only him that she loved him. She told him only that she loved him. She told him that only she loved him, and so on. The meaning differs in all 10 or 8 instances, and I give an exercise for people to interpret and tell me what are those instances. An English professor wrote these words, "A woman without her man is nothing," on the chalkboard and asked the students to punctuate it correctly. All of the student males in the class wrote, "A woman, comma, without her man is nothing." But all the females got the best award when they said, "A woman hyphen without her, comma, man is nothing." Punctuation is super, 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 super powerful. Okay. So I would invite you guys to come and join hands with me. I'm almost finishing this in the next 5 minutes. I will have a medical doctor to talk to you, Dr. Burhan. Think beyond teaching, and think beyond teaching. And I need the teacher and the internet to be actually a very close call whenever they do something. Okay, the teacher and the internet has to work hand in hand. You have a lot to do. I'm not talking about taking things from Google. If you are in my class, I have some teaching on technology, a teaching element on technology. It's called science and technology. Okay, okay, that is something super important when it comes into teaching. Okay, so you have to know how to use modern day technology whenever you want to teach. So use Google in a better way and learn how to use Google and why to use Google in a much more better way. And coming to the last 2-3 slides, I'm finishing off with this by telling you that you guys have to have 21st century skills. With COVID-19, jobs are changing. People who are qualified get to stay in their jobs. People who can know to use Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Classroom, Jitsi, these people get to stay with their jobs. Those people who don't know to transform and use this, like the dinosaurs got perished, they might get perished. You need to think beyond 2030. You need to see to mold students for 2030. You should be a teacher who is visionary to see what's happening in 10 years. You should know what's nanotechnology. You should know what is VR. You should know how to use VR in education, virtual reality in education. You know what is AR. You should know how to use AR for your students. You should know how augmented reality is good. Thank you, Bint. Even Google Meet, which Google gives you. I have all the apps in my phone, so that if someone tells, "Do you have this?" I can immediately start a class or a session or a call or what I have to start. You have to know what's basically happening in the technological arena. COVID-19 has made traditional things obsolete. You have to know how to do the newest thing at the moment. Anyone who does this can go into art, becoming an art therapist, using drawing to cure people, a consumer psychologist to understand consumers and help people to sell their products. Like I showed you an example in Cargill's or Kiehl's, that supermarket thing, right? You can tell Unilever's, you can tell Nestle, dear Nestle fellows, please advertise your Milo like this. Please put Kit Kat like this. Dear Unilever, I want your Sunlight soap to be like this because consumers are doing this. You can get into counseling in many ways. You can become a forensic or a criminal psychologist with all what I'm telling you, thinking out of the box, not stereotyping, doing stereotyping to your advantage, all those. You can become a school psychologist for special needs kids or challenged kids. You can become a sports psychologist. You can become a celebrity psychologist. There are many celebrities who are actually suffering from depression because of their mispopularity. They became suddenly popular and they don't know how to control it. I don't know if you have watched a film called uh, Priyanka Chopra did something called, I think it was Fashion. I think it was a movie called Fashion. Onion, not really bint, but I think Priyanka Chopra's movie on fashion, uh, how Priyanka Chopra or one of her colleagues in the movie gets very famous and she loses it everything and they collapse. There are many celebrities around the world who are actually suffering with depression and they are taking tablets and all that. Similar to sports. When you're the best sportsman and you perform once or twice and you can't perform like that always, you drop in very harsh, very hard. You need someone to treat that person, right? So that is one. The latest psychology jobs are these clinical psychologist, educational, these are more okay. So these are the things which basically you can get into. The salary scales depends on where you work and what you do, right? So I leave it like this and I will invite Dr. Burhan to switch on his camera. You can ask me any questions or you can probably save it for Dr. Burhan to answer. You can follow me in Instagram. This is my Instagram page. My name is Inthikab. You can add me on Facebook, follow me, get updates on all the courses, free sessions, free seminars, which I do. You want to join in my courses for my master's or psychology or any of these programs, you can correspond with me. You can be in touch with me. I have a broadcast WhatsApp group. Whenever I do a free session, I give a reminder for students so they can come and when you're just waiting at home, why don't you learn something for next 1 hour and just enjoy and apply that, some practical sense in this. And I finished my session with that. Thank you very much for having me here. And I'm going to give the spotlight to Dr. Burhan. There you go. Dr. Burhan, just check whether you can on your screen. Thank you very much, guys, for the feedback. Janit has a question. Is there celebrity counseling job in Sri Lanka? These jobs are actually created. You create it. There is no title or a company or anything. But celebrities, ministers, MPs, famous singers, famous actors, famous writers, they are seeking for someone to talk to them out of depression. They're hiding from people. They can't face people. I need you guys to actually create something like that. If I had time, I will actually create something like that, because I know that depression is kind of a very tough area where people need guidance and they don't have people who have experience who can guide them. That's what I want to say, right? So welcome, Fatih, for the lovely feedback. I have Dr. Burhan on board. Dr. Burhan he's a graduate from the prestigious Whitted State Medical University. Thank you, Zanisha. Dr. Burhan he worked at the Balapitiya Base Hospital and now he's based in Galgamuwa Base Hospital. And he has an interesting page called Surgical Diaries on Instagram. If you would like to follow him, he's kind of, I would say he's kind of like the Dr. Mike version of Sri Lanka in Colombo, who does a lot of exercises on social media, and he joins us with a lot of programs. So I hope he also will be useful. And thank you very much for the lovely comments, guys. Keep in touch on Instagram and Facebook with me. I will upload this session later. Enjoy your session with Dr. Burhan now. Dr. Burhan, over to you. Thank you very much for the lovely feedback, guys. Dr. Burhan, can you unmute yourself, or wait, I'll have to unmute you. Hold on. Dr. Burhan, can you unmute?
Indeed, can you hear me?
Yeah, lovely.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen. Can you guys still hear me? Indeed? Hello?
Yes.
Indeed?
Tell me, it's all good.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right. So Inti, a small request because no, I'm actually working today, and I'm actually in the ETO. So in the case that I get an urgent admission, I will have to go. So
Okay.
in the sense, you can actually, it will only be around for around 2-3 minutes, depending on how urgent it is. So in that
Okay.
case, there will be a sort of delay. I just hope that it doesn't actually come to that.
Okay. So guys, guys, I hope you all heard it loud and clear. Dr. Burhan is basically in the hospital, and if he needs to go, he'll just go off for a couple of minutes, but be online with him. He'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So basically today what I wanted to discuss, because now this is a sort of an intro about what we do as AIC, right? We do the whole psychology program into two important aspects, basically basic psychology and psychology with regard to early childhood education, and which is very important. And as India has spoken about something called communication, which is very, very important, which is like the essence of psychology. Another important aspect I want to actually draw about is how we value education and how that education is important with regard to how, I mean, with experience how I have been brought up, and with experience on how we look at it, right? So what this form of psychology is known as educational psychology. What is the importance? The importance is very, very important because of the fact that the way that you bring about a child, the way that you give them that education will govern how that child will progress on in the future, right? For example, the simple example I would take, my career, for me to become a doctor, there have been important pillars, important people, important teachers, important professors who have helped me pave my path towards becoming a good doctor, right? So that is the important essence of how essential it is for these people to actually provide the basic education, but good quality education, and how you give that. It's not just the quality, but how is it delivered, right? And I think the way Inti has actually explained, there are so many messages. Like for example, someone can say, "Please study," right? That is one way of saying. But there are other ways that you can actually trigger a child in studying by giving, like for example, there is a very important concept we learn in human learning called rewards versus punishments. You give a child a reward, the child will actually go ahead and do it. You give a punishment, the child again will be forced into it, right? So this is a very important essence of educational psychology. Now, whenever we look into education or psychology, we need to first understand what is the definition. What is it, right? So there are these important concepts that first of all we need to understand, and that is it is a branch of psychology which deals with teaching and learning, right? I don't know if you know who Skinner is. He is one of the most novel psychologists who have actually understood the importance of learning, right? He was the one who had something, I don't know if any of you all are following any psychology. There was this thing called the Skinner box, where he experimented on rats, right? With those rats, he made rats actually push buttons so that they would get rewards and punishment, so they could stop a punishment. Right. Also, it describes and explains the learning experiences of an individual from birth through old age. Right. And also, it helps the teacher to understand the development of his pupils, the range and limits of their capacities, the processes by which they learn, and their social relationships. So, right, this is just a more of a theoretical slide where you need to know what educational psychology is all about. Right. Now, when you talk about education, right, when you think about education, what do we think it is? We actually, whenever someone talks about education, the first thing that comes to my mind is some sort of exam with regard to that education. It's always stressful. Whenever someone is going to school, no one, I mean, very few people actually go with the essence of, oh my God, okay, I'm going to school, I'm going to learn something new. Right? Not everyone has that mentality, because the way the teachers actually teach sometimes actually is too much for that student. The student thinks this is just too much, I can't take it, I wish I could just go outside and play. Right. But there are ways that we can give that information, there are ways that we can make sure those children are interested, and when they're interested they will work hard. When a child is not interested, how can you actually make sure that he does work? Right. So that this is an essence where we need to actually focus on children and actually teach them the right way. Now this is something where I would want to stop, and this is like a sort of a understanding of how creative children are from when they are born, and how open they are. Right. They're open to different thoughts, whereas what happens is we become very open ideas become very narrow ideas. Right. Let's look at this particular thing. I'm sure you all must have seen in a lot of social media platforms. This is a question paper that was answered by, I think, a very young kid, and it has been answered in the most creative, out of the box way. Right. The question says, in which battle did Napoleon die? His last one. Obviously, they wanted to know the year, but he has said his last one. Where was the Declaration of Independence signed? On the bottom of the page. Obviously, the bottom of the page, but they wanted to know the location at which where it was signed. Right? River Ravi flows in which state? Obviously, the liquid state, not solid or not in gaseous state. Right? So he said liquid state. Obviously, they want to know which state or which country this particular river flows. What is the main reason for divorce? Marriage. What is the main reason for exams? Failure. What can you never eat for breakfast? Obviously, you can't have lunch and dinner for breakfast. Right? So this is a sort of, these answers are absolutely correct. Right? But the way Inti said, 4 into 4 into 4 is 16, 15 plus 1 is also 16. Right? You need to be open. You need to have very open thoughts. And this is something that every child has. But what destroys it is the way teachers teach, the way that we actually push them in making sure that they learn what we want them to learn. Wrong. Let them be very open. Let them be creative. Because of their openness, because of their creativeness, that will actually help them to bloom as better individuals, and bloom as individuals where they will be able to do well. Right? Another paper, uh, another paper where this is, I think, a mathematical question where they're asking what is x. Now basically what they want, find x. So he has actually circled where x is, and he's actually right, he has basically gone and said here it is. Right? But actually what the question paper was asking was, basically this is the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, x squared, is equal to 3 squared, which is the obtuse, and the adjacent plus 4 squared. So basically this was what was expected, but they have just asked to find x. Right? So which is not wrong at all. Right? It is not at all wrong. Right. So we come to this concept called what is active learning. Right? Does anyone know what active learning is? It is something that is not at all done in schools. It is done in some of the schools, but very rarely it is done, because I don't know, as far as I remember in my school time also, I mean, we tried to do it as much as possible, but it was restricted, because whenever the teacher came, he or she would, talk about something, they'll be like, okay, this is this, and then we start dictating and we will write the note, or she would write it on the blackboard or in the whiteboard and we would copy, right? That was pretty much it. There was no way of an interaction. Yes, they might ask questions, yeah, but then the questions were always in written form, never oral form, right? So again, that completely goes is not with the principles of active learning. What is active learning? It is a teaching method and strategy that involves student participation and engagement with the material in a meaningful way during class time. Now, whenever we learn something, we're like, oh, okay, we just have to learn this because we will have to actually, we will have an exam, we will have to study for that exam, and then we will need to know. If you don't understand it, what do? Katapadam karna. What does that katapadam karna mean? You memorize. You basically memorize everything, and then whenever the paper is there, you just vomit things out. That's not how it's supposed to be done. You need to understand what is being taught, and by understanding, you will definitely have questions. You will have questions, and you need to interact with the teacher, saying, "Okay, I don't understand this. What is the meaning of this? If regard to this, what would this mean?" And the teacher has to engage in a sort of a discussion. So this discussion will actually, what it will enhance, it will enhance that child in remembering whatever is being taught by that respective teacher or professor. So that is why there is an additional advantage of active learning, right? The active learning will help promote higher order thinking, right? It will help to actually, promote out of the box thinking. Now, usually whenever someone talks about something, right? Whenever someone talks about, some kind of war or something in medicine where, you learn about the drugs, like, okay, this drug is good for, now, for example, let's just take Panadol, right? If you're learning surface learning, which is what passive learning is, surface learning, what it would do is it would just say, okay, Panadol with Panadol, or I think I don't know, other people call it different things, paracetamol, but in Sri Lanka we call it Panadol or paracetamol. But if you're having a headache, take a Panadol. If you're having a fever, take a Panadol. If you're having a difficulty in like in a sense you're tired, take a Panadol. But that is just surface learning. What is the deep learning? What is the reason why Panadol is effective? Why does Panadol work? Okay, how does Panadol work? Does Panadol work all the time? Is there anything alternative to Panadol? Right? When can you not take Panadol? What can be the like in a sense, if you take too many tablets, more than a particular amount, what is that amount? What is the amount which is more than normal that you can't take? What can happen if you take more than enough Panadol? What are the things? Right? Okay, I heard a friend of mine actually, now when someone is talking about Panadol, right, in class, someone can start a discussion. Madam, I heard a friend of mine took around 18 tablets of Panadol. What happens with that? This is where you are actually, whatever you see in a normal day-to-day life, you are actually trying to applying it with whatever is being taught to you in school. These are the benefits. You are trying to merge the normal way of living with whatever is being taught, which is never the case, because people, whenever they are in school, they learn something and that's it. They don't try to actually implement whatever they're learning. They won't try to make practical use of what they're learning, which is very it is very sad, because if both are integrated, that would actually promote a sort of thing where people would do very well. Now you take this same example and you look at our local A levels, right? What is the problem with local A levels? It basically promotes narrow sort of thinking. It doesn't promote open thinking. Why? Because you don't give them a syllabus. You actually expect the children to learn so much without knowing what exactly might come. And when the student goes into the when the student goes for the exam, now if there's a question that they're not sure, if there's a question that has something and they're not sure, what will the student do? The student won't think. The student will try to remember what he has learned from that particular page or whatever, and try to apply it out here. That's it. Or he will try to vomit whatever he has by heart, and then he'll apply it in the question paper. He's not going to start thinking about the question. No way. Because what he will do is he will just be thinking, okay, this is why I read this in this chapter. It has to be something to do with this. I'll just write this off. That is what a sort of A-level system. When it's not like that, it will just make what I would like to call just vomiting things that you read. That's not how it is. You need to learn whatever that you actually learn and understand, and then you should be able to apply it. Because if you're able to apply it, that's what you call meaningful learning. And that meaningful learning can be applied to your day-to-day life, right? This sort of mentality, this sort of learning pattern will not help you. It will make, sometimes, especially with the medical field, you cannot actually be, type of person who reads books and just, whatever is there in the book, you just are able to, just wash it out. I think I would be, very bold in saying, if you have watched the movie called Three Idiots, where they kind of promote this, they kind of say that there is no point in actually, just by hearting things, because that's not going to help you. And I think that the person who does that is someone called Chatur, right? And Chatur gets to a place where he wants to, but it just makes him just follow the rules. But when you actually are able to learn in a way where you have understood it, you can make your own rules, right? You are able to understand the philosophy, the foundation of it, and you are able to do this. Now, if I take another example, in medicine also, because I'm actually in the field of surgery, for me, like, in a sense, there are things that we are supposed to do. We have guidelines, we have books that we are supposed to do. But I don't always stick to that. I learn the foundation, I learn the basis of it, and I apply it based on that. So there are times when, books don't have the answers. So I have to think out of the box to think of a solution, right? So if I was just confined in whatever is being done, then, I mean, whatever is in the books, I would not become a great doctor. I would become a good doctor, but not a great doctor. So for you to be extra special, for you to be extra successful, you need to have this thing. And for us, what do we want? We want to embed all of these qualities in our children. And this has to be taught. This has to be implemented in all the education system patterns, and which is great, because it is applied in AIC and IMC. So therefore, it is a sort of thing where we are promoting not just theoretical wise, but practical wise as well, right? Now, there comes the concept of book smart versus street smart. Who is a person who is book smart? Who is a person who is street smart, right? So when you look at it, you look at someone who is book smart, right? He is very analytical. And you look at someone who is very street smart. He would be very practical. He would not need to read the books, but he would look at the things outside and apply. He would be very experimental. He'll experiment and he will learn things by trial and error. Whereas this person, traditional school type, will learn information through books, through oral and written method. The book smart person is very organized, very prepared, whereas the street smart person will be very impromptu, spontaneous, right? Book smart person will always have a backup plan, whereas street smart will be able to, on the spot, be able to solve problems. Will love to be on the spot. The street smart person will love to take risks, whereas the book smart person will try to think things. He will think about everything in detail and then only come to a solution, right? So this is very important. You need to, in a classroom, you need to understand who are the kids who are book smart, who are the kids who are street smart, and that's how you will teach them, because you need to understand what their potential is, what is their quality that actually will help them to actually, bloom better. And as a teacher, as someone who is going to be a very a person who is going to inspire them, you need to be able to promote their, you need to bring out the best in them. And this is something that you will need to understand, right? Again, something which I've spoken about is this out of the box thinking. Promote them, allow them to ask questions, allow them to actually, have this sort of thing where, they think of something completely different, right? And that is actually going to be very useful for them, right? Now, I would like to stop with regard to the out of the box thinking. I would like to stop and tell you all a story. This is about the black pebble versus the white pebble story, where it shows that, it basically shows that always when you think that everything is lost, right? There is always some kind of solution you can come up to. So this is apparently a story of a poor girl, who had a father who was in debt with some very a person who he had taken money from. So he had taken a lot of money from this particular person, and this person was saying that you need to return all the you have to clear your debts. You have taken so much of money. You have to actually, give me all the money back. So this particular gentleman whose poor girl's father did not have the money. So, you know, what this particular person did was he found out that the person he owes the money to, right, has a beautiful daughter. And he was like, okay, I will forgive all your debts. Just give me your daughter for the hand of marriage. Right? And this daughter, this particular girl, the daughter was only around 15, 16 years old. And she was not at all interested in getting married to this particular man. Right? So the father was being pressurized because the father was told that if you don't give me your daughter for marriage, I will actually, you know, have to put you in jail because you have taken so much of money and not returned it. Right? If you don't give me the money, but there is a solution. You give me your daughter's hand for marriage, and I will completely forget it. Right? So the child, the girl wouldn't want to do it. Right? So then what happened was they were just talking about it, and they were in a pavement where there were white pebbles and black pebbles. So this miser, the miser is the person who has actually given the money. The miser tells the father, okay, let's do it like this. Let's do it based on luck. Right? I have a small bag. I will put one white pebble and black pebble in a bag. Right? And I will actually, you know, let luck decide what your outcome would be. So he says, if your daughter picks a white pebble, right, I will completely forgive all her sins. Right? If she picks a white pebble, he will forgive everything. She doesn't have to get married. She will also forget. He will also forgive the father for all the loans and let them go. Right? But if by any chance that she picks a black pebble, she will have to come and get married to the miser, and the father's sins will be forgiven. Right? So at least this way the girl thought, okay, great. At least I have a chance with regard to the stone I pick or the pebble I pick. Right? So what the miser does is he actually puts two black stones, two black pebbles in the bag, and the girl notices it. Right? The girl completely notices that this miser has put two black pebbles. So she knows whatever pebble, right, is going to be a black pebble that she picks. So anyway, she has to get married to the miser. So what the girl will think is, okay, if I say no, you have two black pebbles, what the girl will think is, okay, that I'm going to make the miser look like a cheat. Anyway, he's not going to forgive the father's sins or father's loan. Anyway, the father will be put to jail. What does the girl do? Right? If it was another girl, he'd be like, okay, right, I have to sacrifice this for my father because I don't want my father to be in jail. I would actually, rather than that, I would just get married to the miser. But at that moment of time, right, when everything is lost, when the girl feels that there is no other option, the girl still comes up with a solution. And the solution is that what she does is she takes the bag and she tries to take the pebble, and she mistakenly, but she knowingly drops that black pebble. But no one sees that. And she's like, oh shit, I dropped my I dropped the pebble I took. I didn't even see it. And then she's like, oh shit, how do I find out? She's like, okay. So if I have dropped the pebble, let's see what the pebble in the bag is. If the pebble is a black pebble, that means I might have picked the white pebble. If it's a white pebble, I might have picked the black pebble. Right? So fortunately, obviously, as the girl knows, the pebble in the bag is a black pebble. Right? So obviously, then she says, okay, that means I must have picked the white pebble. So what is the moral of the story? The moral of the story is there are a lot of times where we think, oh shit, now there's no end to this. This is the only solution. No, if you have a very out of the box thinking, if you have a very creative way of looking at life, right? If you have that kind of mentality, and that mentality does not happen all at once, but it comes with time, right? It comes by, grooming a child. And if it is there, every child, every time when there is a problem, there's always going to be a solution. This is how you as people in the form of, that we need to promote, mentality. We have to promote that sort of thing, right? So because even I was initially thinking, okay, that's it. There's no other option. I mean, if it was me, I would have just sacrificed myself for my father. But no, there was always another solution, right? So the question comes into place. Let's talk about things that current problems that are there in our normal day-to-day life, right? Let's look at this calculator. There are so many exams that where we actually make children do the function of a calculator. In grade 11 and grade 12 exams, there are so many exams that they say that no, you should actually, not use the calculator. Sometimes like what is tan 45, what is sine 45, what is sine 90. You would want the child to know it by heart, right? But the point of the matter is we need to tell children what is the reason why they are getting themselves educated, so that they would actually be able to learn from whatever that we are teaching and be able to do a job, right? So if by any chance, right, you are trying to actually make them do the function of a calculator, what is their job going to be? What is the point of a person who has invented this calculator, right? And then having a child who is doing the same thing as a calculator? No, that is not the right way of us making them, promoting their way of thinking. Yes, doing the functions of a calculator shows how arithmetical they are, how much of a mathematical logical decision, mathematical logical brain that they can actually do. But at the end of the day, do you think anyone is going to hire someone who has the function of a calculator? No, no one is going to be able to do that, right? So obviously they'd rather prefer someone who knows how to use the calculator, because it is much more faster. These are things which are problematic in our current world, right? Same thing when you look at the multiplication chart, right? We expect some children to by heart things. Guys by heart these charts when you can make them understand the chart. When you make them understand that, it's so much easier for them. How is you and say so no it works rising it. Right? These are things where we lose out, right? And the more it is, the child is so much of it's like everyone else is pressurizing you. Your parents, your friends, and then your distant relatives. I still remember whenever when I got my O-level results, more than myself, I was more worried about what the other people in my community will think. Because the moment I know, how did your son do? How did he take his O-level? Did he do O-level this time? No. Did he get well? Did he do well? No. Luckily, I did well. Just imagine if I had not done well. How much of stress and pressure I would have been in. So these are the things that we need to understand. We need to, bring these things about. We need to tell the children, don't worry. This is not the end of your road. Just because you did not do well for your O-levels doesn't mean that you will do bad for your A-levels. Just because you did bad for your A-levels doesn't mean that you will not get a good job. Show them there's always hope. So many people have not even finished college and they're being so successful right now. Teach them the essence of why we are learning. Right? These are things that are very, very important. And when you do all of these things, when you push these children, what happens? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they do it. They just want to be first. It doesn't matter if they are not learning. What they will do is, if they're not as good as the other person, they will make sure the person doesn't do well. So creates unhealthy competition. Healthy competition is always good. What it will do, because I can't do well. With regard to an exam called histology, I had made notes. I had made notes in such a way that everyone in my batch was using my notes. Right? I had made on every topic there were notes. There was a small set of notes, and they were just very, very compact and very easy for me to learn and for easy to a lot of people to learn. So everyone in my batch knew that I had these notes. You won't believe it, around 1 week before the exam, someone stole it. I did not have it, and I was using photocopies of my own notes. Right? So this is because of unhealthy competition. Now, because of that reason, Harvard Medical School, right? They don't like, because of how competitive it was and how stressful this competition can get. They have no school. They don't have a school anymore. For US, they don't have schools. They just have pass or fail. USMLE exams just have pass or fail. They don't have particular. You have done this well. No, they would have a sort of an idea based on how you have performed on a day-to-day level. Not somewhere just one exam deciding how good you are. Right. So this is where we need to understand. And when you talk about social and emotional learning, where we need to teach about these things in school and all, we were never taught about these things, about social awareness, about how important communication and relationship skills are, how you create a sort of a relationship with your teacher, how you understand your teacher, because that will not just make you just be successful in school, but it'll make you a better person. Your self-awareness, your decision-making skills. Sometimes you need to choose between one and two, and sometimes one and two seem to be the right answer. But how do you decide whether it is one or two? So these are things that you need to focus on in school with practical sort of learning, and that is decided based on the classical example of a train that is actually on a railway, right? A train that is actually about to knock five people in a car, right? Of switching the train from that track A to track B, goes at another walk, which will kill all the train. How will you decide whose lives have to be saved? These are decision-making skills. How you would emotionally come up with a particular decision. Children. Diversity is physics. What does the parent want the child to become? An engineer. That's it. They don't think about all the other fields that are there. Being a medical science researcher, being a biotechnologist, being a marine biologist, doing so many other fields with regard to research, with regard to pharmacology, there is so much of diverse areas that they can actually excel in. But what our educational what we have put children in, we have just pushed them in either becoming doctors, either becoming engineers, either becoming businessmen, either becoming accountants. That you started accountant now, okay. Because that's what your mom wanted to be. No, you can't do that to children, because there is so much of diverse areas. Sometimes they might be very passionate about those things. You need to enhance that passion. You need to show them that there are so many opportunities for these children out there. Not just being a doctor or just being an engineer. Right? It's very, very important that you show that as a teacher, it is your duty to doing that. And if you don't do that, you're just, not allowing him to bloom the way he's supposed to bloom. Right? So this is very, very important. And then the most important thing, which is very, very difficult, but is very good, is personalized education. You personalize the way you teach amongst every individual. You realize what that person's strong traits are, what are his weak traits, and then focus on that and teach that child. Right? By doing so, some children learn well with textbooks, some children learn well with videos, some children learn well with your the way you deliver lecture. So because of that reason, you need to know which student can grasp that knowledge quicker, and how you can actually enhance the weaker child in doing so, right? So these are things that you need to actually bring in a sort of a platform where you're teaching children. This is something that I've always sort of made sure that I have done that to the children I teach, is making them always ask questions. Never say no, I don't have any questions. Because when you have questions, you are allowing your brain to think. You are allowing your mind to run free with the ideas that are being brought up by the lecturer. When you start thinking about every possibility, you will definitely have questions. So don't ever condemn a child asking him questions. Yes, you have to make sure that the child doesn't ask unnecessary questions. But sometimes these questions are very useful. Now, if you look at an example during medical school, I was always the person who would always ask questions. I was always, always asking questions to such a level where in my second, third year medical school, when a lecture finishes early, and when the lecturer is done and then says, "Are there any questions?" People in my class would be like looking at me, because they would know that I will be definitely have questions, right? And the same questions I would ask during the class, right? During the class, these students who would give me frowns and look at me, would ask me the same questions just before an exam, right? Always be able to clear your doubts, because if you have not cleared your doubt, you're not going to understand anything. Make sure that you don't leave anything behind. Make maximum use of the time that you have. These are things that you need to promote. Sometimes children are offended, because sometimes if I ask this question, this teacher will think that I'm stupid. I don't want to show the teacher I'm stupid. or if I ask this question, the children will think I don't even understand this simple. No, let them ask anything they want. I have been humiliated. I have been, you don't even understand this. I have been told so many things, but it hasn't stopped me because my curiosity for learning has always been there. And even now, whenever we are sometimes doing a surgery and I don't understand something, and I'm like, okay, sir, why do you do this? Might be very rudimentary, might be very simple. But I always ask because I want to know as to why. I have a very cute. It doesn't matter if the other person is junior to me, thinks, okay, this ayah doesn't know this. I don't care. I still ask because my kind of mentality is I want to learn. I want to learn so that I understand. I can apply it based on whatever this thing my consultant is doing. So this is why it's very important. All of these things have to be brought from an early childhood. I am lucky that I had amazing teachers. I had amazing teachers in school for my O levels, for my A levels, who have helped me always ask questions, who have helped me to understand that what is the true meaning of learning, what is the essence of why I'm actually learning, what is the value of what I am doing right now, and how it will decide my future. These are things that need to be, focused on, and these are things that we need to promote in our children whenever we teach these children, right? This is just a glimpse of what we will be discussing in our sort of modules if you do join our program, right? This is just a small glimpse of what we focus on, and our focus is more on the practical aspects, not the theoretical aspect. We focus on how you use this theoretical. I'm sure you understood with the way Inthikab did his lecture. It was all about applying whatever you're learning. Apply whatever marketing that you're learning. How do you apply it? Same thing with whatever we do. How do you understand human learning? How are you able to understand what this particular person wants? Right. So this is what we emphasize in our program at AIC. If there are any questions, feel free to ask me. Inthikab, over to you.
Hi, Dr. Burhan. Any questions? Okay, so are you done with it, Dr. Burhan?
I'm done.
Okay, so follow Dr. Burhan on Surgical Diaries. He's the Dr. Mikey of Sri Lanka.
If you do not like blood, I wouldn't advise you to follow me.
Yeah, if you're into surgery and things like that, you should follow his particular page. You can follow my one for updates on general psychology stuff, marketing, business, entrepreneurship related stuff. You can follow me. And also follow International Medical Campus, IMC, and AIC if you want to get updates on courses. So the relevant officers who have been speaking with you will keep in touch with you if you want further information. And I'm going to upload this by today at the AIC campus's YouTube channel. So you will have the entire recording, guys. So on behalf of everyone, I thank everyone who has participated here. We have had quite a lot of people who actually have participated. And I would like to thank everyone who have joined in here. And if there is further anything, keep in touch with us. Okay, guys. So thanks a lot. And I wish you all the very, very best. Have a nice day. Don't forget to be safe. Thanks for the lovely feedback. And that person is Mr. Horace Fredericks, who spoke to you in the morning. Okay, guys, I'm going to log out. Thanks for the appreciative messages for Dr. Burhan's session. I hope you learned a thing or two. Okay, guys, I'm logging out and I will be uploading this. Thank you. Have a nice day.